someone sent me a tweet, and it was like, it was just a compilation of Stephen A. Smith, like, like walking into a room all confident, and he just like you know how he does it on First Take.
Yeah.
And then the caption is Bill O'Brien walking into the Texans office trading Deshaun Watson for Alvin Kamara. And he's like, howdy do. Howdy do.
Oh my god.
I
That was
fucking love that.
Woo! It's the boy, Bubba, let's coming through. Hella clutch, flawless, can't be touched. It's your boy, Bubba, let's. Yeah, I need that hot take. I need the truth and everything that is not fake. So tell me.
Welcome back, Bubba Bunch, to another edition of the Bubba Let's Sports Podcast, episode 159. Closing in on that 160. We're going to do it very soon. But once again, joined by Kevin, second time this week. A lot more NFL talk today because some updates on Leonard Fournette, on some other running backs, and we're going to kind of tease what's going to happen this NFL season because we are less than 2 weeks away. You just mentioned 9 days.
9 days.
Before the first game of the season on Thursday night, which is going to be incredible.
Yeah.
But this is our little preview of what to expect, really, one of our big takeaways, and kind of preview what the playoffs will look like in our opinion. And then, we'll go from there. But a lot more NFL talk for the Cowboys specifically, for the NFL in general over the next coming weeks. And, I'm really excited.
Yeah, man. Same. Like I said in the last one, I'm just so happy that my Sundays are going to have meaning again.
Yes.
I mean, it's crazy not having football.
I mean, I've been getting by pretty nicely with basketball.
I have not.
But I got the Raptors and the Celtics game playing right now, so I'm chilling. But it makes it a lot better to have football along there alongside basketball. So I'm super hyped for it. But first, let's start off. Some pretty shocking news comes out today out of New Orleans.
Some pretty juicy news coming out of New Orleans today. Yeah.
I like juicy.
Yeah, you do.
But if you haven't heard, this actually just came out a couple of hours ago, which, I mean, I was in the car literally about to go to the chiropractor, and I just got the notification that was like, New Orleans Saints are open to trading Alvin Kamara. I was like,
Dude.
I'm sorry?
I was mind blown hearing that.
We went from yesterday, them announcing that he has 3 unexcused absences from practice due to contract negotiations.
Yeah.
The latest thing that Kamara did say was that they are actively talking about their contract. And then just a curveball thrown in NFL news as far as them opening their trade talks for one of the best running backs in the NFL.
Man, I think it was a couple hours ago, like you were saying, where I was finishing up an essay, and one of my closest friends, who's a diehard Saints fan, he texted me and he was all like, he texted the group chat. He said, "Boys, they're talking about trading Kamara." And I couldn't believe it. I thought he was lying. I thought it was one of those like rumors that like have like no really like any validation at all. But I went on and I started looking up some articles and all that. I cannot believe that is even an option right now. If the Saints were to trade him, hands down the dumbest decision so far in the league. Mind blowing. I can't believe it.
When we've talked about in the last like year of Todd Gurley leaving LA and getting sent to Atlanta, that makes sense to me because I feel like we've seen the best of Gurley already, and the injuries are piling up. The knee injury has always been an issue ever since Georgia, and the shell of a running back that he was last season compared to previous seasons is, I mean, night and day difference. So especially in an organization that doesn't have the salary cap to really pay a lot of their players. They really got rid of a lot of their Pro Bowlers from last year. And I felt Todd Gurley was a big component to that offense, but I feel like they can move on from him. And I'm always the big advocate of you don't need the star stud running back to be successful. It was the reason why they were successful, but I think they have a really good roster overall, and they have a really good coach that they can get by with Cam Akers. It won't be Todd Gurley, but Cam Akers is still a good replacement. We'll see what happens with him. Same thing. I know you're not high on him, but the same thing about Jacksonville. Now, I feel like Fournette does have more to give and has a lot more to put on the table, but I do understand their decision because the injuries, once again, start piling up. They don't want to pay him the big money, which they eventually probably would have if he would have stayed in Jacksonville. And they're just looking to rebuild to whatever they can get at the time. Same thing for LA. Anything they can get at this point because they need picks, they need money. They need to save that money. It makes sense, right? Yeah. And I get it. You don't want to pay top elite money every single time for all these different players, especially if you're a good roster like New Orleans. And you're giving up money to Drew Brees. You're giving up money to Michael Thomas. You're giving up money to a already stacked defense. And I get it. Like, someone has to be sacrificial. But when you have, in my opinion, the second best running back because of what skill set he does have alongside Christian McCaffrey, like you can use him on any point of the field. You can put him as a receiver, running back. You can do anything with him. And the news and the report saying that, look, Kamara and his agent were open to negotiations. They weren't going to hold out. They weren't going to ask for a trade. They just wanted to talk. And then for the Saints to be like, nah, we're going to trade you. Like, we're openly trading you. That's where I think the decision and the mistake is made, because you can't just, unless you're strong-holding them, you're strong-arming them and saying, look, we're going to trade you or you're going to accept the contract that we offer you. It's either or. Don't even try to negotiate, because we run a business here. It is football. It's a business at the end of the day. So maybe you can make an exception for a guy like Alvin, because he's just a once-in-a-lifetime player, in my opinion. And he had an off season, you could say, last season, but I feel like when what was it? He played the entire,
with a torn MCL or something like that? With a
torn MCL, ACL? I think it was MCL. Yeah, it was MCL. He played majority of that season with a torn MCL. And you expect him to just be great? Like, that's hard on a running back. You kind of have to use your legs because you run a lot, hence running back.
Hence the name, yeah.
So I think last season was just kind of a fluke season, and he's back better than ever. I love seeing his workout videos. They're incredible to watch. But if we end up not getting New Orleans Saint Alvin Kamara, this is crazy. Like, this is incredible to know what's going to happen next for both sides.
I mean, I don't really understand the viewpoint, Like you said earlier, they wanted to sit down, they wanted to talk, but the Saints were like, you know what? Nah, sorry, too bad. They're basically giving him an ultimatum of either you sign right now to basically our terms in reality, or we trade you. I think, in my opinion, that is very disrespectful to someone who has done so much for you as an organization ever since he came into the league. He, like you said, he has been, in my opinion, I will agree with you. I wouldn't say top 2, but he has been top 5 running backs, in my opinion, since he entered the league. He's so good. I mean, he's so dynamic. You can do anything with him. And like the one thing that they always talk about him is that he always falls forward every single time. That's hard to do, Like, it's hard to tackle someone that is always going to end up just getting those extra 1-2 yards. Like, it's rough. So in my eyes, I see this as a very disrespectful move. The Saints should be I'm sounding like Stephen A. Smith right now. The Saints should be extremely ashamed of themselves for doing something like this to an incredible player towards him. And I think it's ridiculous. I hope that whoever's calling the shots will have an epiphany and be like, wow, maybe we should relax. Maybe we should listen to Kamara and his agent. Because, like I said earlier, it would be idiotic to trade Alvin Kamara. Because besides everything we just stated, who is your backup? Latavius Murray? Really? You want to go into the season with Latavius Murray?
I'm a fan of Latavius Murray.
I know you are, but let's compare Latavius to Alvin. Really?
It
Come on.
really
Come on.
limits to what you can do
Come
on
on.
the playbook.
It's idiotic, and I would be blown away if they trade him, and I will lose a lot of respect for the Saints organization because, like I said, I see this as very disrespectful.
He still has one more year left on his rookie contract, which is crazy because he's still getting rookie money. It's only like $2 million a year. So it wasn't. It's not a necessity to sign him to a contract right now. Like it would just be an extension at that point. Does Alvin deserve more money? I think for the production and what he brings value wise to that team, absolutely,
100%.
And the only problem I really have with this, because I'm all for the players getting their money, especially if they're a big part of that team. If they're one of the reasons why they're successful, I'm all for that. And the Saints should give credit to a guy that has given them a lot of success over these last 3 or 4 years.
Obviously, yeah.
But the only problem I have with it is the way that you're handling the situation. You legitimately went from 0 to 100 in an instant. You did not say, look, Alvin, like, we still got one more year on your contract. If we can wait until, midway through this season, maybe at the end of next season, when you are a free agent, let's see where it goes, because with the salary cap moving up, inflation, you've seen all these big contracts coming up. There's more money to come in. So we're going to be fine. And you can get away with these big contracts for big names and split that up in a 4 to 5 year contract for a guy that's so young in Alvin Kamara, that it'll be fine. You won't get a big cap hit in your first year. You're going to split that up, and probably in the 4th or 5th year, that's where it's going to be an issue. But by then, Drew Brees is already out of the question. Maybe you start to move on from the Drew Brees era, and we don't know where the Saints are going to be at that point. But I say you can't piss off a guy of that caliber and that importance to your team when you're still in a Super Bowl contention window.
Yeah,
like
100%.
You are one of the favorites in the NFC, and I've been a big fan of the New Orleans Saints for these last 3 years. Because,
man, that's a really good point.
I mean, when they had Mark Ingram and Kamara next to each other, dear God, that was fun to watch.
Boom and zoom, Jesus, it was insane.
It's exactly what they need in that offense to kind of balance out the Drew Brees, like overthrowing, making him throw a lot more than he should have, and going up there a little bit in age, he can kind of get away with less action with a better backfield, which he never really had. And then an improved defense, and I love their defense so much. So I think you're still in that window, and to just immediately say, oh, well, if you don't want the contract that we're giving you, or you don't want to wait, then we're just going to trade you. Like, this is your future. Like, this is the future of the New Orleans Saints. You got to figure out a quarterback in the near future, but you're set in stone for a running back for the next at least 5 years, 5-6 years. And it's tough for a running back because they just have a shorter window. But you have that, like, safety. You have that net to carry your team on if you need that transition in quarterbacks. And if you're just going to say, no, we're going to trade you, and you give a hungry team that just needs one little piece or could ultimately break open a window of playbook opportunities with Kamara, then that's the wrong decision at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I mean, when it comes to me, I've always kind of seen Alvin Kamara as a Le'Veon Bell type running back before, when Le'Veon Bell was in his prime. I mean, this man can do anything. There's so many plays where they line him up as a receiver, and he runs like a wide receiver 3, like play, and he catches the ball like if it's nothing. I've seen it so many times where he is not just a running back; he's a receiver. So you're meaning to tell me that you do not want to wait 1 year, like you were saying, or you don't want to talk to him or have a negotiation just because he's holding out and he doesn't want to do it your way? Come on, man. That's a joke. That's so disrespectful. I don't know. The only other thing that I could think of, and actually my friend Elias brought this up. So Elias, if you're watching, shout out to you. he brought up the thing that what if this is a Todd Gurley situation? What if, like you were saying earlier, where the injuries were piling up for Todd Gurley, and it obviously affected his performance, and the Rams were like, "Well, I think it's time to let you go. Sorry, it is what it is." What if this injury is a little? What if this injury is a little worse than we think it is? We've been hearing a lot of reports that it's very minor, that he looks good, like you said in the workout videos, he's starting to look a little good as well, but what if they're kind of hiding something from us? What if the Saints, or what if Alvin, or what if his agent are just hiding something that that they're not telling the exact truth of what it really is? What if it wasn't just an MCL? What if it was meniscus? What if it was his meniscus? What if it was something else that is affecting his day-to-day routine when it comes to training camp, when it comes to workouts, all that? You never know, man. You never know. How a lot of players are. They want to. I mean, how a lot of organizations are. They want to keep the calm when it comes to the public, and you never know.
Yeah.
What if that's what they're doing with Kamara? That they see that this could be a problem, and they're like, well, we don't really want to pay you that much money. You never know.
That's my only logical explanation for them really limiting what they're going to do with the contract negotiations. Because we didn't know until literally, I think 2 weeks ago, that Kamara did play with that torn MCL for much of the season.
Yeah, we learned very recently, and it was very surprising. Yeah.
It makes sense, but at the time it was like, maybe he's just kind of like, maybe he's kind of burnt out. Maybe it's just not his year. Something's happening, but we didn't have the explanation for it. Now we do. But if they were very closed in about holding that information from the public, then it could easily be the case that like they're holding out more stuff, and that's the reason why. Now, from what I see in the workout videos, you can't always judge what you see there, because in that case, then Cam Newton's the greatest quarterback of all time. But in this case, like he looks good. Like he's doing what he usually does. Like his balance, his agility, like those things are elite level in the running back position.
It's crazy.
So even if there is a case to where he doesn't have the same 100% abilities that he did in his first year and his second year, I still think like he's still one of the best running backs in the league. Like even if he does have a bum knee, like look at Dalvin Cook. Like Dalvin Cook is never going to be the same because of what happened in his first season. Yet that dude is dominating the league. Like that man is carrying the Vikings offense.
Dalvin Cook is the Vikings. That's it.
Yeah.
Plain simple.
He's the reason why they're winning football games. So
I'm surprised he doesn't have a back problem instead of knee problems, dude. Jesus Christ.
Facts. So even if there is the case to where he just doesn't look the same, or he's not feeling the same, I still think he's probably one of the best running backs. Like that.
Agreed.
That's just how I feel. And if you limit the amount of snaps, like if you don't go for 30 to 40 snaps for Kamara, and you kind of balance it out with Latavius Murray, I still think that's an easy setup that could work well in the scheme for the offensive side of the ball. So if that's the case, if we just don't know anything, and we don't know until he goes to another team, he gets a physical, and they're like, "Oh, it's actually worse than we thought," and they don't sign him, then that's kind of like, okay, Saints, we get you. Like you're off with this one. Until then, we're obviously going to speculate. But if we're just basing off what we've heard so far, I'm not going to be over exaggerated. I'm just saying, like, look, if you're just saying, "Oh, we're not going to negotiate at all, we're going to trade you," that is a very strong arm tactic that I don't necessarily agree with.
It's disrespectful in my opinion. Like I said before,
it is for a guy that has given so much to the city, in ever since he got there. Like he had to prove himself from the very beginning. He wasn't a first round pick. Like it wasn't the case like that. He went to Alabama and was never given an opportunity, so he had to go to a lower school in Tennessee and had to prove himself there. And even then, no one gave him the same talk as the great running backs in that draft. Like he was just kind of there, and he just showed up, and he's like, "I'm gonna work my ass off," and that's exactly what he did. So a humble guy like Kamara that has done nothing but great things in the league, I wish he was treated a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I think it's getting to the point with Alvin that it's. I really do think he deserves the money. I hope the Saints can reissue I mean, not reissue, like rethink their strategy on this because I really don't see why you would do something like that to your most, in my opinion, the most valuable player on your team.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, oh well.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Hopefully they work it out.
Yeah. Fournette, he is cleared waivers, so he's a free agent now.
That's it. Yeah, he's ready to sign. Dolphins, please, thank you.
There's also Tampa.
There's also Chicago.
Yeah, there's also Chicago.
And you know what? I think in well, hold on. Let's be real. Let's be a little bit fair. You said Tampa. While I do agree that Tampa does need a little more, they got Ronald Jones and LaShawn McCoy. I'm not saying that they're set. Oh my God, that's it. But think about it a little bit. There.
I think you'd be a lot different because I like Ronald Jones a lot. I think he's a productive back, and he's exactly what they need. It's kind of similar to what Tom Brady had with Sony Michel in those last few years in New England. Like it's not the greatest back, but he will get it done, and he's more powerful in it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think the signing of Shady was questionable at this point. I wasn't a big fan of it when it first happened, but I completely understand why. I don't think he'll be the starter. He shouldn't be the starter. But if it wasn't the case that Shady was never signed to Tampa, it's an easy pickup for Leonard Fournette to the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Oh,
easy.
Of course. 100%. Yeah.
Because he would be the starter, and then Ronald would be the backup, which is dangerous. But I think what Tampa's doing is they're doing the same thing that Buffalo Bills do, is that they got the experience back that can come in and have that like reliability in the second position with Frank Gore, and then Devin Singletary, who's more agile, younger, which is the same thing as.
Frank's in Miami, right?
Well, he was with.
You're saying in general. Yeah,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, like last season.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But kind of that tandem backfield.
Yeah.
And then that's what they're going to do with Devin Singletary in Tampa with Ronald Jones. Like they're going to use him for most of the offense, but it's nice to have Shady in the back, kind of, learning a little bit of the playbook. He's going to work with a great coach, an extremely good quarterback. So the dynamic duo is going to be there. But having a 2 running back set is exactly what's happening in the NFL. Like everyone's doing it. So I think that's why the Bucs did that. So if you're really looking at it at that point, Chicago makes a lot more sense, or Miami makes a lot more sense. I like Chicago better because in that aspect, Leonard is your 3-down back, and then
coming in,
and then Tariq Cohen could be a misdirection player. He can be that wild card. He can be the Tavon Austin that was in Los Angeles and in Dallas for years. Like he's just kind of that wild card where you just don't know what he's going to do. But he's so agile, he's so small, like you just don't know. But that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. Real quick side note: Frank Gore is actually with the Jets. My bad. I forgot about that. No, yeah, man. I've been saying it for the past couple of days. I even told it to some of my friends yesterday that I think Miami and Chicago are the best bets. Miami's a young team. They have so much potential. They look good this season. He would fit perfect in there. Chicago, I think Chicago right now needs it more because David Montgomery went down, and he's not going to be there the first 2 weeks. So you got Tariq Cohen as your starter, and Tariq Cohen is not starter level running back in my opinion. He is more of a gadget running back. I mean, that's no disrespect to him. I'm not saying that he's bad. Tariq Cohen's a very good running back in my opinion, but he has made his career on being more dynamic than being a 3-down back, like you were saying. So. I think that Leonard Fournette should be going to those 2 teams. There's other teams they could probably go to, but in general, I think Leonard Fournette still has a lot of gas in him. I think he wants to prove people wrong. When your first 3 years of you playing in the NFL, it's just a bunch of negative comments and a bunch of just a cloud of just negativity on you because you're always injured all the time, you're inconsistent, blah blah whatever. But then again, he was also playing for the Jaguars. And I think we could all agree that the Jaguars they're a mess. We'll leave it at that. So I think he wants to go to another team. And he wants to prove people wrong. And like I said in our last podcast, I'll a lot of players sometimes need a second chance to rejuvenate their career. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, look, man, I'm excited for Leonard Fournette. I think he's going to do good somewhere else, but it depends where. So we'll see.
I think he'll be good, not great, anywhere else. I think that's our expectation of Leonard Fournette for the rest of his time in the NFL. Like, he's going to be good, but in this time, like, you don't need to be fantastic to win football games. You just need a productive back. That's all you need. And Leonard's that.
He's going to be an average or above average running back in the NFL.
That is perfectly fine, because with everything that happened in Jacksonville, you're going to be like, hey, Leonard, we're going to put you on a better contract that fits us in the long term. You know, sign him for 2 or 3 years. And it's not going to be the most lucrative deal in NFL history. But I feel like Leonard's going to be like, okay, I will take that because I was mistreated there. And I'm going to prove myself. And if I have a few more years left in the gas tank, then I'll get more money elsewhere. It's my audition. But I feel like there's mutual understanding between both sides of wherever he signs and himself, to where he's like, I got to prove myself. I know the injuries are a problem, so I understand if you put clauses, if you put the bonuses to the side. It's like, I'm going to put out production. I'm going to do it. So I think this is the best thing for Leonard to get a fresh start, and just be good. You don't need to be the best. It's that simple.
Yeah. First start for Leonard. I like it. Okay. Let's talk about this fresh start that we're about to get in 9 days, like I was saying.
Love the segues.
2 good segues.
But yes, so we have the playoff teams from the 2019 season.
Yes.
And what we're going to say is the teams that we believe will not make it back, and whoever is not in there will be replaced. We'll make it in. Exactly. So, AFC or NFC first, sir?
You know what? Let's start with the AFC. Since we have said it multiple times on this podcast that we are a little NFC bias.
That's right.
For one, a biased reason, but also 2, for good reason that NFC is just better. So,
I feel that.
Who do you think's first, man?
Man,
AFC is a little bit hard, huh? It's a little hard.
I of course think that Kansas City is going to be in there.
I think, for me personally, Kansas City and Baltimore are a lock. That's it. Lock.
Yes.
Instant lock.
Like, so, Baltimore is being talked about going 16-0, which I don't think will happen. But 13-3 is doable. So exactly. First and second seeds right there, without a doubt.
So now, but then we go to the 3rd seed of last year's playoff in the AFC, the Patriots. I think that's our first team that's probably not going to make it back to the playoffs.
Really?
I do think that. Now, look, I'm not saying this in an aspect that, they're garbage now. That's it. But I think there's a lot of other teams. Well, not a lot of other teams, but I think there is a couple teams that maybe could take their place. Just because, look, let's be realistic. Tom Brady's gone. I'm not saying Tom Brady was the whole team, but he was a pretty big component of why they would make the playoffs every single year. You still got Bill Belichick, obviously. He's the greatest coach of all time, the smartest mind of all time. We can talk about him and Don Shula and Tom Landry, and oh my God, I lost
Jason Garrett.
Yeah, Clapman.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think that New England is probably going to barely miss the playoffs. I'm not saying they're going to be trash, but I think they're barely going to miss the playoffs.
Aren't you forgetting that they had the best defense in the entire NFL last year, and they have the Defensive Player of the Year?
And a couple of years ago, the Cowboys had top 5 defense in the NFL. Look what happened.
No, that's different. First of all, so like they can be a top 5 defense every year because of their talent. They just have a terrible coach.
That was more to ruffle your feathers.
They have a terrible coaching staff. They have a tremendous coaching staff in New England.
Yeah, I don't know, man. There's something about those Patriots this year, and you know what? I might be wrong, 100%. But something about those Patriots that doesn't sit right with me, and I don't think they're going to make it back.
Their defense is going to carry them to a lot of wins.
So
I'm not saying 12-4. I'm not saying 13-3. I say 10-6.
Okay.
9-7 can win that division. I'm just going to put that out there. That can win the division because the Jets are going to suck. The Jets are not going to be good. There's no conversation on the Jets. I think the Bills will be okay and hang in there, but I am still not on the Josh Allen train. I will never be.
I like Josh Allen.
I don't like Josh Allen. I just don't like him. Now, they did have Stephon Diggs, which is nice. Their defense is, without a lot of big names, like Tre'Davious White, like they're still really good. Like they just know their system, and I like that. Sean McDermott is a pretty damn good coach. I will give him that. Devin Singletary, if he can stay healthy, that'll be nice. I think they'll be right there with the Patriots, but I do think the Patriots will squeeze by. Cam Newton will just be enough, but their defense is what's going to help them throughout. So I do think that even though they may not be the 3rd seed, that New England stays in.
Okay. Fair enough. Mm-hmm. I can see that. Next team in the AFC that was in there last year, the Houston Texans. I think they will come back.
I don't.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Fair enough. So, I had a very hot take a couple months ago on this podcast, and I said that I really don't see Houston doing a lot. I wouldn't say that I completely changed my mind, but I do think that they will do enough to get into the wild card. Look, I've been very vocal on Bill O'Brien being a assistant manager, not even a head coach. He doesn't deserve that title. He's an absolute joke of a head coach, in my opinion. You trade away the best receiver in the NFL for a ham sandwich. I mean, are you serious? That's a joke. He's done a lot of questionable moves. However, over recent months, I've kind of looked at the players that the Texans have added, and I've kind of looked at their roster. And like I said, I'm not gonna say that I completely changed my mind, but look, you still got Deshaun Watson, top 5 QB in the NFL, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You got now this is where it gets a little tricky. You got David Johnson. Now, David Johnson is not what he is. Let's make that very, very, very clear.
Right.
But I think he might have an okay season. Just enough to help them out. 1,000 yards?
No, I wouldn't.
No, not really. Maybe 900, 800, but not 1,000. But I think he will do just enough to get them by. Now, you look at the receivers, they got Randall Cobb.
I do like their receivers.
Yes.
People shit on them because they did get rid of DeAndre Hopkins, but they signed Randall Cobb. I'm a big fan of what they have already. Will Fuller.
If he can stay
healthy, he is one of the best wide receivers in the league as far as like a vertical threat. Definitely. My boy Kiki QT.
Hey, whenever that man can make plays.
I love me some QT.
Plays. Yes. He is a cutie. So Kiki QT, Will Fuller, Randall Cobb. It's not a bad trio, honestly. I can honestly say that I was a part of those people. And Kenny Stills, by the way, I think.
I was about to say, is Kenny Stills still with them?
I think he is still there. I'm not 100% sure.
Double check on that, because if that's the case, I think that was one of those sleeper acquisitions that the Texans got, and I was like, no one really talks about it.
Still there.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. That's a good depth chart.
Exactly. So those 4 wide receivers are pretty damn good in my opinion. I'm not gonna lie. I was a part of those people that said that, I was giving them shit for what they did. But like I said, I took the time to, look at their depth chart. I think the Texans are gonna do at least enough to get into the playoffs. Their defense is very, very back and forth. There's some games where they look like the second coming of the '85 Bears. But then there's other games where they just fall flat and they look garbage.
Their defense, their secondary has been such an issue for so many years, and I feel like they just don't care. Like, they had Jonathan Joseph, who has been probably their best corner, and even then how many yards have they given up? How many touchdowns? How many big plays have they given up because J.J. Watt can't stay healthy? They can't get to the quarterback. Like, their pass rush isn't all there. And they just do enough on defense to get by. But when it comes down to playing against the Chiefs, who score 51 on you in less than 4 quarters, that's a problem. That is a problem, and it's always going to be a problem. So the same way that I feel about the Patriots, that their defense is going to carry them, that's why I'm not high on the Houston Texans, is that their defense is going to hurt them no matter what. They can get in the wild card every single year. I'm sick and tired of this. Like, I'm sick of them getting in for a wild card and then playing on a Saturday game against the Raiders and having the worst performance of all time. I hate it. I don't want to see the Texans anymore because Deshaun Watson should get the fuck out of there. He's not going to be anything as far as a champion. He's got to get out of there because Bill O'Brien's just going to run this team into the ground. So
been running this team
into the ground, of course. So, okay, this is where
even with all that, I still say they're a wild card.
Yeah, that's the only way they would get in. They're not winning the division. I think the Houston Texans are out.
Okay.
And you either have...
You better say it. You better say it. You better say it.
Because I don't think Buffalo gets in either. So, here's my opinion.
What?
So, I think Tennessee gets back in.
Oh, that's where I disagree with you. I don't think
because I think Ryan Tannehill in that play action is God sent for the Tennessee Titans. I like Mike Vrabel. I think they get in, whether it's a wild card or they win the division. I don't know what happens in the AFC South. Like, it's a shit show.
It really is.
I think Tennessee gets a spot, so there's still the opportunity for the Colts to get in.
Okay.
Even though I don't like Phillip Rivers, I think they're still an overall phenomenal team.
They're really good, yeah.
They're really good. I'm going to say it.
Are you? Please say it. Please say it.
Miami Dolphins, baby.
Okay, you did not go the route I thought you were. But I could agree with you.
What do you think I was going to say?
I'll say it later because I guess it'll be my hot take for the AFC.
Okay. But yes, I am high on the Miami Dolphins.
You are.
I think they can get a wild card. And if they just stay within Buffalo, they don't need to win the division. I think they get the wild card. So if they stay within Buffalo, and they win that game, at home against Buffalo, maybe they take the game in Buffalo.
Oh, okay.
Just win your division, baby. Just win your divisional games.
So let's make this clear, so it's not all over the place right now. So right now, in your opinion, well, in both of our opinions, we got Chiefs and Ravens 1 and 2.
Yes.
Lock. They can interchange, whatever, doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the 3rd seed going to
the 3rd seed.
Yeah.
I would say Tennessee.
Okay, so you got 3rd seed going to Tennessee. Okay, then you got the 4th seed going to Dolphins,
New England,
or the Patriots.
New England, because I have them winning the division.
Okay, so you got New England.
Yes.
So you got the interchangeable. Uh-huh. You got Tennessee. You got New England. You got Miami in.
I got Miami.
Okay, who's your last one?
So it would go to the Colts.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Okay.
I think the AFC South is always going to be that competitive. It's the same way with the NFC East. Like, you're gonna have two wild cards in there. Like, that makes a lot of sense. Like, you would expect that. So, and I like the Colts. They're going to be very competitive with the Tennessee Titans. I think Houston, you just never know if they can't stay healthy, or I just don't want to see them in the playoffs. So, yeah.
Okay.
And it's not that I don't like them. It's just I'm tired of seeing them make the playoffs and then having a terrible Saturday game in the wild card against a terrible team that doesn't deserve to be in there, Raiders, for many years. And then they go up against the Chiefs, against the Ravens, against a really good opponent. And then you see, oh, this is why they don't really make a statement in the playoffs. Oh, this is why Bill O'Brien's a terrible coach.
Yeah.
So I don't want to see it again.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So I guess for me personally, like I said, 1st and 2nd seed, Ravens and Chiefs. Mm-hmm. Then you get to the 3rd seed. The 3rd seed is a little, it's a little harder, but if I had to pick a third seed right now, like I said, I really don't think New England is going to come back into the playoffs. I don't. I think they're barely going to miss it. Now, I'm going to make the call. I am high on the Buffalo Bills. Okay. I think they're pretty damn good.
I completely understand why you think that, but it's going to be the demise of Josh Allen that determines their fate.
My point, yes. So, I do like Josh Allen. I've always liked Josh Allen ever since he came out of the draft. I just think that the Bills are not the perfect nurturing team. We'll leave it at that when it comes to quarterbacks. So, but the Buffalo Bills showed a lot of promise last year, and I think they're going to build off of what they did last year. So, for my third seed, I think that Buffalo is going to win the division, and they're going to win third seed. Now,
Fine.
Now, the fourth seed is where things get a little tricky, in my opinion. I think the fourth seed. I said right now that I think Houston is going to be okay. I think they're going to do just enough because their team is very 50-50 in general. But look, man, I don't know. I'm not really high on the Titans either. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm really not. You know, they had a miraculous run in the playoffs last season, and they had a really good. I think it was like they won their last 4 out of 5 to reach the playoffs, right? Like right at the end of the season or something like that.
They won like 7 of the last 9 of the last 11, something like that. It was when Ryan Tannehill became a starter. So whenever that happened, they won more than 80% of their games.
Yeah, they went off. But here's my only issue. I don't think Derrick Henry can carry you for a full 16 games. He has to have help. And I understand that, you know, Ryan Tannehill had a pretty good last end of the season. But look at what he did in the playoffs.
What he didn't do. What he didn't have to do is the right phrase.
I mean, because look, think about it this way. It's easier to say that Derrick Henry carried the Titans those 3 games in the playoffs, right? Mm-hmm. Ryan Tannehill threw for 77 yards in one of those games. Yeah, I don't remember who it was, but I mean, come on, let's be a little realistic about this. Ryan Tannehill has to step up and prove that he can be the quarterback of that team. Because, look, I'm sorry, Derrick Henry's still a human being. He might be a freak of nature, 6'5", 250-pound running back that can bulldoze anybody, but he's still human, and he still has to go to the sideline and breathe. So, you right over there? Oh, my God. Speaking of breathing, Jesus.
I choked on water.
Yeah, I think this AFC South is really, really hard. But for the sake of giving an answer, if I had to give it to someone, even though I'm not high on the 2 teams that could possibly win this division, I got to give it to Houston. But I think it's going to be one of those scenarios where it's like 10-6, 9-7, like last year.
That's going to be the case.
Yeah. Look, so I'm going to Houston. So that's my 4th. Now my 5th and 6th seed, you're going to be surprised on this one.
Wait, so you have Houston winning the division?
I mean, like we said, it's a shit show.
I get that.
Yeah. Now, here's where things get a little bit interesting, and this is why I say it's a hot take. 2 teams are going to come back this season. One of them.
Oh, are you going to do it?
I
know what you're going to do.
Yeah, I am. I am going to do it because I've been on them the whole entire time. But however, these 2 teams. It really depends on their quarterbacks. Yeah. First team, 5th seed, Pittsburgh Steelers. If the Steelers can have Big Ben healthy, you know how it is, dude. When Big Ben is healthy, the Steelers are a good football team. And might I even add that for the first time in 6 to 7 years, the Steelers actually had a good defense for once. Finally, they had a good defense. So now, if they can keep that good defense, have Big Ben healthy, you got Juju Smith-Schuster that is obviously more likely to pop off with Big Ben. You got their new stud wide receiver, their second-year wide receiver now, Deontay Johnson, that looks really good. You got Eric Ebron if he can stay healthy. Eric Ebron as your tight end. This offense can do a lot of work. So with the asterisk on the side, if Big Ben can stay healthy, Steelers are the 5th seed. And then my 6th seed for the AFC, and you know what I'm about to say, Les, because we've had this conversation before, multiple times on this podcast. If Drew Lock can play good this season, Denver is going to go into the 6th seed. Denver is going into the 6th seed as a wild card. I'm calling it right now. In my opinion, Denver looks phenomenal. Their trio of wide receivers, mind-blowing. That trio is going to be insane if they're all in sync. Melvin Gordon, Philip Lindsay, amazing combo, amazing wombo combo. More than likely, Melvin Gordon will get hurt and miss games. It is what it is. Yeah, wombo combo.
I like that.
Their offensive line it's but it's obviously gotten the job done because Philip Lindsay has had 2 pretty good seasons in his first 2 years in the NFL. Then their defense, yeah, they lost Chris Harris Jr. That was a pretty big hit to them, not gonna lie. But it's kind of it's kind of the same situation we're talking about with the Cowboys, right? It's pretty hard to look down the field when you got Bradley Chubb and Von Miller coming straight at you in less than 3 seconds. Yeah. Their defensive line is solid. Their linebacker core is pretty good. So look, man, I think that this team is gonna do just enough, depending on how Drew Lock plays with his new toys on the side. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. I'm missing the other receiver. I'm sorry, I forgot his name.
Chase
but
Claypool.
I think
no, that's the Steelers. Sorry, my bad. KJ Hamler.
Yes.
Sorry, I had Chase because you were talking about Steelers.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think that the Denver Broncos are going to be the 6th seed in the AFC.
Oh well, I mean it's just tough because the Chiefs are definitely winning that division.
Of course.
And I think the Chiefs go undefeated in their divisional games.
Yeah.
So if you're the Broncos, you have to
just win out in general.
You have to win out, and because once you play out of division, out of the divisional games, I don't know how they'll stack up. Because I like the Broncos, but I think they need time. I really think they need time. Same thing with the Chargers because they lost Derwin James, so that's a big loss. So I think their season's kind of just out of it.
He has an injury?
Yeah, dude. He's out for 6 to 8 months.
Oh,
what was it?
I didn't hear that.
I forget what the injury was, but they just announced it yesterday, and I was like, "That's terrible, man. He's out for 6 to 8 months."
Yeah.
But he's one of the main reasons why that defense is so good. So I think the Chargers are out of it. The Raiders, who knows what they're doing?
Raiders are something else.
So
they're weird.
Drew Lock and the Broncos can definitely get it done in the division. It's just a matter of how they do outside of that division and compete against the other AFC and NFC teams. And I don't think this is the year for them to have that opportunity. I think Drew Lock will win that job as far as like having himself a franchise kind of tenant in Denver. So give it another couple years. That's where I feel like they'll really thrive. But for now, I think they'll just miss it.
Okay. Oh, fair enough.
But I like the call. I honestly thought you were going to say Cleveland.
No, not Cleveland. No, not yet. I'm hoping they bounce back. I really do because I like Baker Mayfield. I like the team. They have a lot of promise, but promise doesn't equal wins. So we'll see what happens with them. But this is where things get a little bit harder because the NFC is just, like we said, so much better than the AFC, and it's way more competition.
I think it's easy for me.
It's kind of rough. All right, since it's easy, go first. Who do you got going first seed?
I think San Francisco will have the 1 seed again.
Okay, fair enough. I could agree with that.
It's
too.
kind of the same thing. I feel like
you feel like 1 and 2 are locks.
1 and 2 are locks. Like Green Bay's definitely winning that division. They just have to beat Minnesota. That's all they have to do.
Yeah,
and they will do that because the matchup just somehow Minnesota just does not match up well with Green Bay.
Never, no.
So San Francisco and Green Bay are my locks.
I could agree with that. They're locks as well.
New Orleans Saints at 3, yes.
Okay.
I like that too.
Okay.
Number 4, the Cowboys. So
okay.
I don't have. How am I doing this? Okay, I think Philly's out.
Oh, wow, that's a
Yeah,
bold statement.
because
Okay.
I think with the rest, like the wild card, that's just a cluster.
It is a cluster.
So I mean, there's like a few teams that just come to mind, but I think it's still like very similar to what you saw last year. But so I have the Cowboys at 4, winning that division.
Okay.
At 5, I have Seattle making it in the wild card.
Obviously, Seattle's an automatic wild card
Like
lock.
they just somehow always find a way to get in, but when it comes down to like making it to a championship, they just don't have enough, and I feel like that's the same thing that's going to happen.
Okay.
So the final wild card, I like Minnesota still. I think they can still do work in that division other than Green Bay. Kind of, it's the similar story that we saw last year. Like they just could not win against Green Bay, but they just showed up against Chicago. They showed up against Detroit because they're both really bad teams. They need time. And then when they compete against some of the other good teams, like Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook can get it done. And losing Stephon Diggs, yeah, that's tough. But they have some young, talented guys. They still have Adam Thielen, who is going to be healthy this year, hopefully for the entire season. And I still think their defense is one of the best in the NFC. Like they are just adding what? They just added Ngakoue from Jacksonville. They still have Danielle Hunter. Like they got rid of Everson Griffin, but they're finding ways to kind of to make up for that. You know, some of the guys in their secondary, they moved on from Xavier Rhodes. They don't have Andrews and Dejo, but their linebackers are still a key part of their success on defense. They got rid of their offensive coordinator, but I like their coach. I like their coaching staff. So they're not going to beat Green Bay, but they're going to beat enough people to get by. So I think the last spot goes to Minnesota, and Philadelphia just misses out.
Okay. So you got San Francisco and Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
You got New Orleans, Cowboys, Seahawks, and Vikings.
Yes.
Okay.
Which, I mean, any given Sunday, like that's the definition of it. Like any one of those guys can show up on Sunday, and that number 6 seed can easily beat someone.
100%, sure. Okay, all right, fair enough. Well, I agree with you in the fact that San Francisco and Green Bay are more than likely going to be 1 and 2 seeds. I mean, they're coming off of years where they just monster seasons for both of them. The only loss. Well, there's 2 big losses that San Francisco suffered. They lost Deebo Samuel for a large majority of the season, and they also lost DeForest Buckner. Both tremendous impacts on both sides of the ball.
May I add something?
Okay.
Didn't they add Emmanuel Sanders and J.J. Nelson?
Emmanuel Sanders is on the Saints now.
Who did they sign? They signed Tavon Austin. My apologies. They signed Tavon Austin.
But remember, 49ers also drafted Brandon Ayuk.
That they did.
They did.
But he's not gonna play the same type of
Deebo Samuel football
position as Deebo Samuel, because Deebo Samuel is meant for misdirection. He is perfect for that, and I feel like Tavon Austin and J.J. Nelson can do that. Not Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk is a more just overall compelling wide receiver. Like he will do everything. You know, put him in the slot, put him on the outside. He can do a lot of great things on the X and Z part, like position, but not misdirection. So I feel like Tavon Austin and J.J. Nelson will do that better.
Yeah. Okay.
But Brandon Ayuk is a phenomenal wide receiver.
Yes,
I think they're fine without Deebo Samuel. I will say that.
But once he comes back, though,
dear God,
scary.
I'm terrified.
Yeah, very scary. Second one, I agree with you. The Packers. I mean, they're really the exact same team from last year. I really don't think they had a big loss.
And I think everything goes in the direction of them having the chip on their shoulder. As far as Aaron Rodgers having to prove himself with Jordan Love behind him, Aaron Jones, continues to impress people. The receivers got a lot to prove.
Alan Lazard, Marty.
I like Alan Lazard. I like him. I don't think he's given enough credit. He was very productive when he was on the field last year. But
I think he for sure has to prove himself this year because Devontae Adams is starting to be a little injury prone. And that is scary because if you have Lazard and I don't know if it's what was it? Vantez Scantling or
Valdez Scantling. Yes.
Yeah, Valdez Scantling. He's pretty damn good too, but they're not Devontae Adams level. So I think that's the only issue Green Bay has is the injury prone of Devontae Adams. But other than that, they're still the exact same team. They're solid.
Plus, their defense is still phenomenal.
Their defense is very good. The
Smith brothers.
I was about to say that.
And then their secondary went from one of the worst in the NFL to one of the best, in my opinion, with Jair Alexander. Yeah. I mean, they are just great in the backfield. I love it.
100%. So this is where things start changing a little bit. Look, man. I'm not going to sit here and say that because of how much talent there is on the New Orleans Saints team, that just because they lose Alvin Kamara, they're going to dip. But Alvin Kamara is a huge part of that team.
Don't say it.
Insanely huge part of that team. So part of me wants to say that if they trade Alvin Kamara,
don't do it. Don't you do this to me. Don't you put this evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
I don't know, man. You know what? In all reality, like I said, they have too much talent to not be the third seed. But I think that third seed is going to be a little bit harder to obtain if they get rid of Alvin Kamara.
I'm not saying they'll be the third seed. Like they'll get a divisional title, but that could put them in the 3 and 4. So I don't think it's like set in stone that they're 3. But by the way, I would like to mention, because I didn't say it when I was saying the 6th seed, Vikings I think will take it, but the Bucks. The Bucks, yeah. I forgot to mention that. I'm so sorry, Tom Brady. My apologies, sir. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. You know what? Fuck it. Put the Bucks in the 6th.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So, I am gonna say that New Orleans will be the division winners. So I'll leave them at either 3 or 4. I think the Saints and the Cowboys are going to be interchangeable between 3 or 4. Yes. I really. There is no excuse that the Cowboys do not win this division. It will be a joke if they don't win this division.
We've heard that before.
But we've heard it before. Pull up the clip of me saying it's numbing to be a Cowboys fan.
It's numb.
Now, here we go to the 5th spot. 5th spot, Seattle lock. 100%. I really don't see Seattle not making the playoffs. Like you said, they always make the damn playoffs.
Always do.
So it just leads to the 6th spot.
That's the hardest one.
I'm about to pull a little something on you.
Don't do it.
I'm about to pull a little something on you. When it comes to talent across this league, for me, the 6th spot is in a 3-way tie of who can make it. 1 is the Vikings. I agree with you. 2 is the Bucks. I agree with you. There's another team, Lutz, that I think could have a resurgent season. And if everything meshes together, and if that raw young talent can work, I think Kyler Murray can fight for the 6th seed. I really think the Cardinals could be the 6th seed. Now,
but that gives you 3 teams from the West?
That's why I'm not picking them.
So just forget about everything. It was for show.
It was just for show. I love the Cardinals. I just wanted to say it.
I like the Cardinals.
I love the Cardinals. I'm so high on them. I think they're going to be such a good team. But that was just for show. Yeah, I just want to say.
They will make the competition between the Seahawks and the 49ers much more interesting.
Yeah, they will.
Because I guarantee you they will upset one of those teams in the regular season.
They will.
Probably an easier pick for them to beat the Seattle Seahawks because they just don't match up well at all against the 49ers. But I think they'll just be in the back of their minds like, we got to worry about the Cardinals. Like on Thursday night, after playing like this tremendous rivalry game. Like, we'll just have the Arizona Cardinals there. I'm like, they're fucking scrappy, man. Like, they're gonna give us issues. That's how I feel about the Cardinals.
Yeah. So, like I said, that was just for show. You obviously can't have 3 teams in the same division in the playoffs, so it was just for show. But yeah. But anyway, Vikings or Tampa Bay. That's a hard one. But if I had to give the upper advantage, I got to give it to the Bucs, just because the Vikings are solely reliant on Dalvin Cook, and I've said it multiple times on this podcast. I'm not a big fan of Kirk Cousins. I'm not. I think he is an above average quarterback. And like we said earlier, in this league, it's not an insult to say you're an above average quarterback or an above average player. An above average player gets the job done. They're good, but I think this is the year where it's finally going to happen that Kirk Cousins just doesn't squeak into the playoffs. I think it's going to happen. So, look, man, the Bucs look good. On paper, they look good. Their defense looks great. By the way, like how we were talking about with I think when we were talking about our draft, they have possibly they have the most underrated defensive player in the NFL, Shaquille Barrett. He was the sack leader. He had 20 sacks last season, and no one talks about him. No one. So you got Shaquille Barrett. You got a great defense.
Hold up.
What?
Fucked up the camera.
Who?
I did.
Oh.
I apparently pressed something and it did something. Go on. Sorry for all those watching.
It's all right. Don't worry. So, yeah, I think the Bucs are going to take it. Their defense is good. They got the GOAT now. They got Mike Evans. They got Chris Godwin. They got Gronk. They got Brait. They got Howard. They got Ronald Jones. They got LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah. An improved offensive line.
An improved offensive line. I think the Bucs are going to take the 6th seed. I really think they're gonna show that they're gonna have a resurgence this season, and 7-9 is not gonna happen anymore. It's gonna be 9-7, 10-6, somewhere around there.
They went 7-9 with arguably one of the worst quarterbacks in the league.
With blind Jameis Winston.
Yeah, blind Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
And they lost a lot of their games under one possession. Like they could have easily won 2 or 3 more of those and been in the contention of a playoff spot.
Yeah.
And even then, they went 7-9. So with a much improved roster, much improved quarterback, and
much improved head coach. My lord.
Like he now has some footing in Tampa over the last couple of years with the roster that he wants. Yes. That I like that. So
yeah.
Then that makes it pretty damn interesting because.
But come on, man! You gotta admit you got excited when I said the Cardinals.
I thought about it. It's
you got a little excited.
I think it's just too quick. It's like the Denver Broncos. Like you just got to give them time. And
I hope the Cardinals. I hope the Cardinals go at least 8-8. At least 8-8, just to show the NFL that they're almost there.
Did they go 4-12 last year?
No, they went like
2-14.
No, they went 4-11-1 because remember they tied
the
first
tied
game
with the Lions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they went like 4-11-1 or something like that. I don't remember for sure.
Record.
Here, I can bring it up right here.
No, I got him in.
Oh, you got it? All right, yeah.
No, not the St. Louis Cardinals.
The St. Louis Cardinals.
Oh, okay. 5-10-1.
Oh, so they won one more. Okay, all right, cool.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
I mean, 7-9, 8-8 is doable.
Yeah.
I think so. Because they can beat the Rams twice. I think they can beat the Rams twice.
I do think they can beat the Rams twice. I think the Rams. No. No. I love Cooper Kupp. I love Robert Woods. I love the freak of nature that Aaron Donald is, but Jared Goff, where you at? Jared Goff, where you at, man? What happened?
It's falling apart.
What happened? 2 years ago, you were practically leading the MVP votes, and now, what happened?
Feels attacked. You're attacking him.
I am attacking him. But you never know. Maybe he'll come back this year.
Hey, with those new uniforms that look like Best Buy uniforms, I'm all in.
Yeah, man. Oh, Best Buy doesn't sponsor them? Oh, my bad.
They should. You know how awesome that'd be? I work at Best Buy. People are gonna confuse us with Rams players.
Yeah.
I'll be like, yeah, I'm Cooper Kupp. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah. He looks smaller compared to the other guys. That's why.
Have you seen Hard Knocks?
No.
Dude, they showed off the Rams scrimmage in those uniforms.
I personally like them.
Look, both LA teams do not have the best uniforms in my opinion. But if I had to choose, I think the Chargers have the better uniform.
I like their throwbacks. Their throwbacks are really nice.
Like the dark navy ones?
Well, no, like old school, like baby blue.
Oh, the super powder blue?
Yes.
Well, that's what they're going with all the time now, powder blue.
But I don't like that.
You don't like the new powder
I like
blue.
the idea of a throwback.
Oh, okay. All right.
But if you're just gonna incorporate it into your default, then it's not a throwback anymore.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Yeah,
it's like the Cowboys throwbacks are like what the color rush really is. But if you really think about it, that's not the throwbacks that we like. But like the 90s throwbacks for the Cowboys with the star on the side, like in the like mid 90s, late 90s, those are the greatest uniforms that I think they have. So if they try to do that again into their default ones, I'll be like, okay, it's not a throwback anymore.
Yeah.
I'll say that's the throwback.
Can we both agree that it's time for an update? Time.
I just don't like the idea of like the only different uniform that you wear is your color rush. I'm like, that's cool. I like the color rush. You know, you get to see the Seahawks playing neon green. Cool.
Yeah.
But with the Cowboys, like it's either the navy blue that I don't like.
I like them personally.
I don't like the navy blue. I prefer the all white.
I don't.
But the only like time that we get to see a throwback was like when they played Thanksgiving games, and even now they don't do that because they wear the color rush. I'm like, dude, come on, like it's the Cowboys. Like they have so much history, and you're not gonna incorporate that at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I just personally think that it's a little bit. I think it's time for an update, dude. Those silver pants are getting to me. I'm not gonna lie.
It's just the NFL, dude, and I see so many like artists and influencers that like make up ideas of like,
and they're so good.
They're so good, and like you can do it to where I don't know why these different organizations and like associations like the NBA, football, whatever the case may be, like they can like switch. So like if you have a basketball and a football team in the same city, why not like switch it up? You know, like why not have a Mavs night for the Cowboys and the same thing for the Mavs?
What? I'm not big into basketball. Everybody knows that watches this podcast. I've said it before. I'm not big into basketball, but I will say that I really love what the NBA did with oh my god, I can't remember the name. I think they called it the City Edition jerseys.
Yes.
Oh my god, those are so badass.
I love those.
They're so sick. Why can't the NFL do something like that, man? God, it's so annoying.
No, I think it'd be amazing to see like Arizona, like with Phoenix and the Phoenix Suns and Arizona Cardinals. Like imagine the Arizona Cardinals wearing a Phoenix Suns type of jersey.
That'd be cool.
Like the whole logo, like those look so nice.
Yeah.
But it's just like a nice little thing. But if you're just gonna keep it like simple and just kind of stale forever, I think that's stupid. There's just so many cool things you can do with it that can gain you money. Like if you sold those jerseys, I'm 100% buying at least 5 of them. I'm not just buying the Cowboys ones. I'm buying multiple teams.
I would buy one. Yeah,
because
same.
Those are just like, you don't get those often, but you get the same navy blue and same white jersey every single year. You just get a different player, and I'm like, I don't care.
Speaking of the same thing over and over again, I remember that the Indianapolis Colts were hyping up their new uniforms so much for like 2-3 weeks, and then they unveiled them, and it's the exact same thing. It's literally the exact same thing, just like a slightly different shade of blue.
Yeah.
Are you serious? What a joke! Like, you hyped up all that, and I think the same thing with like the Browns. I think like the Browns have new uniforms this season, and they're just a slightly darker shade of brown, and now they have like the stripes on the side, on the shoulder. That's it. It's like, really, dude? That's what's so hype about your jerseys? I'm not gonna lie though. The only like renewed jersey that I really, really liked were the Jets. I think the new Jets jerseys are pretty sick compared to the old ones.
That's how I felt about the Falcons. I thought the Falcons changed it up a good amount to where it still kept it like, I can see that.
I like their jersey too. I did like the review.
Everyone just crapped on him, and I'm like, dude, come on, man. Like,
I thought that was good.
Like, it's a change. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, I thought it was good, but personally for me, like when it comes to the past couple of years of like switching uniforms, I think the Jets have the better version in my opinion.
Whatever.
They're still garbage, so it doesn't matter.
They're still gonna lose.
They're still garbage. So
I will cut this episode because there is a storm going on outside, and if I lose the recording about an hour in, I'm punching this monitor that's right in front of me.
Yeah, let's end it here.
So let's end it right here, people. Thank you for joining us on episode 159 of the Bubble Let Sports podcast. I should look into the camera for this. But if you follow me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, make sure to follow the podcast. And then if you go on anchor.fm/BubbleLuts, you can actually support the podcast by subscribing to a monthly plan. $1, $5, $10 months. I haven't mentioned this in like months, but
yeah, I was about to say that.
Yeah, like 2 people do it. And I'm like, thank you so much. You do? Oh yeah, that's my guy right there. If you'd like to be a part of that, the link is always on the bios for Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can find it there. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And we're on 84 subscribers, so go and tell everybody so that way we can get to 100 subs by the end of this year. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Kevin. Thanks, you guys, for watching and listening. I love you. I love you so much. And we'll see you next time on the Bubble Let Sports podcast.
Yeah, hold on. Tell me who's your top 5 quarterbacks right now, dead or alive, huh? And how much do you care about a ring if the best player got carried by the team?